What's up guys? Welcome to AnimeKouhai. If you'd like to help me out, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel.
Perhaps that's why she referred to it as exciting.
The journey took me through various worlds and different eras in my search for him. In fact, I even paid a visit to your own native world.
Whoa, seriously?
Absolutely.
I found myself pondering the reason behind her increasingly casual demeanor towards me. In retrospect, I should have taken notice of her attire, which had transitioned from a t-shirt and jeans when she initially appeared in our labyrinth to a more regal imperial garb. The stark contrast between her current appearance and the footage we had in our archives, showcasing her mercilessly defeating her adversaries, felt incredibly surreal. Those who witnessed it firsthand, not to mention those who experienced the brunt of her attacks, must have believed they were caught in the midst of a bewildering fantasy. However, if she was present in my world, it implied the existence of a pathway to return from this realm. Granted, I perished in that other world, rendering any investigation seemingly futile, or was it? Velgrynd had hinted at her capability to traverse through time. If I could delve into that particular ability and analyze it, then perhaps.
Understood. I will initiate the analysis.
Ah, how gracious of Seal to undertake such a task. It might just be a fresh pursuit for her, but this sort of endeavor aligned perfectly with the doctor's expertise. It's truly uplifting to possess a glimmer of hope, at the very least. I was certain that a number of otherworldly individuals on this planet would appreciate a means of return, and I yearned to bring that possibility to fruition in the future. However, we would delve into that matter at a later time.
So Masayuki is essentially the reincarnated version of Rudra?
Yes, indeed. There is no room for doubt. His soul remains virtually intact.
Velgrynd's voice became slightly subdued.
Now, our focus must shift to restoring his memories.
So Masayuki remained Masayuki, even in the present, huh? Observing him from across the room, it appeared that he still carried his typical lack of confidence and sense of being lost. And honestly, that was a relief. No offense to Velgrynd, but in my perspective, Masayuki bore no resemblance to Rudra whatsoever.
Well, I'm not quite sure how to respond to you.
I found myself skirting around phrases like, "Oh, that's wonderful," or, "Ah, that's too bad." Velgrynd nodded lightly, displaying no signs of anger. She seemed far less affected than I had anticipated, which took me by surprise.
You seem perplexed. However, I've encountered numerous things throughout my existence, moments akin to dreams, fleeting instants that felt like they stretched on for eternity, more profound and intense than even my time with Rudra. Thus, Rimuru, I genuinely appreciate this. It's all thanks to you.
She punctuated her gratitude with a radiant smile that could make one's heart skip a beat. The icy dignity capable of bringing someone to their knees with a single glare had completely dissipated. She now exuded a sense of tranquility, as if she were an entirely different person.
Well, that's good, then?
Yes. So let me make one promise to you, Rimuru. I will never be your adversary again, unless Masayuki desires it. And please, don't betray him either, okay?
I couldn't have asked for a more reassuring commitment. As for Masayuki and me, she needn't worry. I had absolutely no interest in betraying him.
Very well. By my name and the names of my friends, I solemnly swear that I will never betray Masayuki. There might be instances where I tell harmless lies or disagreements arise, but as long as that understanding is intact.
Velgrynd's gaze transformed once again, becoming frigid and utterly terrifying.
Okay. I'll make every effort not to deceive him, and I'll avoid arguing with him unless it's a matter of significant importance.
Eesh. Why was it now my responsibility to make promises? I couldn't help but regret being so candid with her. Nevertheless, witnessing Velgrynd express her gratitude towards me alleviated some of my apprehension. Despite my reasons for my past actions, I had caused her a fair amount of trouble, so the fact that she harbored no grudges was an immense relief. Just as I thought this gathering would proceed peacefully, a commotion erupted from the waiting room, reverberating through the chamber. It was Vester.
Oh, what's with all the commotion?
I have a valid reason to be in a panic, Sir Rimuru. I have just received an urgent message from my residence. King Gazel is reportedly en route to this location.
When Vester mentioned his residence, it referred to the family he had left behind in the Dwarven Kingdom, as I inferred. Vester held significant prominence in Dwargon. He was a duke, second in nobility only to the king, and had been a part of the upper-class circles since his birth. It was likely the reason for his envy towards commoners like Kaijin. However, even after being exiled from Dwargon, Vester maintained contact with his relatives. One of his trusted dark agent protégés managed his household affairs, ensuring they remained in close communication. Despite his exile, Vester's noble status as a duke remained unchanged. It came as a surprise to me that King Gazel had not stripped Vester of his nobility or demoted him. The king had only punished Vester personally, while his name and family remained unaffected. Furthermore, since King Gazel had no official successor yet, Vester's peerage had not been transferred to anyone else. It was evident that King Gazel possessed the foresight to know that Vester would be reinstated to his cabinet at some point. Hence, his punishment was designed to elicit remorse for his actions. Additionally, I doubted that King Gazel desired Vester's family to rebel against him. If they were to make a serious effort, they could potentially ignite a civil war in Dwargon. Therefore, the wise king aimed to avoid unnecessary conflict. King Gazel recognized Vester's relatives as both influential and popular figures, and he took all of these factors into consideration when making his decision. Consequently, Vester found himself in my service. Thus, it appeared that the Vester family continued to thrive in Dwargon, despite the circumstances of Vester's exile. Vester had managed to maintain certain connections within the royal palace, and it was through one of these contacts that he received the emergency message. But what could have prompted King Gazel to take such action?
Why? Weren't we planning to brief him on everything later?
Yes, that was the plan, but it seems that His Majesty's trust in me has been waning as of late.
Vester replied.
Oh, come on. That can't be true, can it?
I expressed my disbelief.
I wouldn't be so sure. With all the negotiations regarding potion prices, the selection of non-medical technicians to be employed here, and the deployment of my entire family to recruit personnel for us, I have been involved in numerous activities. If King Gazel suspected that Tempest was playing games with him, would have little to defend myself with. Remember, I have made up my mind to spend the rest of my life here.
Vester explained. It seemed that Vester was truly acting according to his own desires. Although I had previously perceived him as more composed, I had to remember that he was an ex-minister. As a seasoned politician, he likely possessed a deep understanding of the political landscape and its darker aspects. However, I couldn't afford to sit here admiring Vester's skill set. If King Gazel was on his way, this was not the time to initiate a summit with the Empire. I couldn't keep him waiting any longer, yet I also found his abrupt arrival without prior notice somewhat impolite. What does a leader do in a situation like this?
Isn't King Gazel the one being rude here?
I remarked, acknowledging his grievances against Vester. However, that didn't mean I had to grant him special treatment.
Exactly. Paying a clandestine visit to a foreign nation. He shouldn't be surprised if someone attempts to attack him. I'm certain he will contact you at the border to avoid such circumstances.
Vester assured me. And just as he said that, one of our communication agents rushed into the room.
I have urgent news to deliver. His Majesty King Gazel of the armed nation of Dwargon has just requested permission to enter our nation. His entourage consists of 5 individuals. What should we do?
The agent reported. While there was no valid reason to refuse entry, they couldn't simply say yes without careful consideration. Hence, the bureau chief-level agent sought my opinion, a prudent move in such an emergency. I could understand the agent's flustered state. I would likely feel the same. Perhaps King Gazel should have approached one of my cabinet-level officials first, but there was no need to bring that up at this moment. Shuna kindly offered the agent some water, which he gratefully accepted.
I'll speak with him,
I declared, preparing our messaging magitool. In the end, we had King Gazel make an unexpected special guest appearance at the summit, and now I was there to greet him. Diablo and Xian stood by my side, as they usually did, ready to provide protection.
I appreciate this, Rimuru.
King Gazel expressed his gratitude.
Oh, please, you must have expected this from the beginning.
I replied, knowing his character. Although it took a full day to travel from Dwargon to Rimuru, our respective capitals were equipped with portals for instant magical transportation. King Gazel's decision to arrive at our border instead of using the portal suggested that he wanted to speak with me before anything else.
You caught on, huh?
King Gazel chuckled. There was nothing particularly amusing about the situation, but I remained composed.
I'm just glad that Velgrynd agreed to your participation in the summit.
Yes, about that. You're not planning to form an alliance with the Empire, are you?
King Gazel questioned, expressing his concern. So that was his worry. I had anticipated as much.
It will depend on the outcome of our discussions, but that is indeed my intention.
Well, can you hold off on that decision for a moment until I can hear your reasoning?
With no reason to decline, we entered a nearby cafe situated close to the border. The staff hurriedly arranged seating for us, and the adventurers who were already seated there wisely finished their drinks and temporarily vacated the premises. As I observed the adventurers leaving their seats in the cafe, I couldn't help but feel a sense of guilt. To alleviate this, I made a spontaneous decision.
I will cover everyone's tabs.
I declared to the cafe, ensuring that no one would have to pay for their drinks. This act of generosity seemed to make me quite popular among the patrons, earning me the temporary title of a beloved slime. We had approximately 30 minutes before the scheduled start of the summit. Although we could have traveled there instantly, we had enough time to discuss the matters at hand. Taking the initiative, I began the conversation.
I acknowledge that we imposed most of the post-war cleanup responsibilities on you.
I admitted. King Gazel's response was reassuring.
That's not a problem. Our soldiers are still tirelessly working on those tasks. It's hard work, but compared to dying in battle, there's nothing to complain about. None of them harbor any resentment towards you. In fact, they're quite grateful.
I felt relieved to hear that. Nobody likes the person who neglects to clean up their plates and empty cups at a barbecue, so I had been somewhat concerned. Nevertheless, it had been a grueling battle, and I was certain that the joy of surviving it had overshadowed any minor grievances in everyone's minds.
Alright, so what would you like to hear about?
I inquired, aware that there were certain matters I couldn't address until after the summit. However, I was still open to discussing various topics.
Well, I want to hear it directly from your mouth. You don't have any ambition to team up with the Empire and attack our kingdom, do you?
King Gazel questioned, concern evident in his tone. I couldn't help but be taken aback by his inquiry. Why would I ever willingly take on such a burdensome task? It made no sense. Not only would it undermine the trust I had painstakingly built with the Western nations, but it would also strain my relationship with one of my most reliable allies. The choice to align with the Empire was never on the table for me.
Not at all. It would jeopardize the trust I have worked so hard to establish, wouldn't it? It would cost me the support of one of my most loyal supporters and create unnecessary complications. Frankly, I'm wondering why you think I'm foolish enough to even consider such a course of action.
I replied, my sarcasm evident. To my surprise, King Gazel appeared visibly relieved by my snarky response. It seemed he had genuinely been worried about the possibility of such a scenario.
That's it for this video, guys. Thank you for always watching my videos and supporting my channel. A big thanks to the AnimeKouhai patrons who made this video possible. Jared Bressler, Chad Vota, Chris Guzman, Andre L. Hamilton, Adrian, Kumo, Sanketh Chelu, T. Bush, John L., JV, Thomas, J, Potate, Big Q. Thank you so much for helping out. I'll see you guys in the next video.